Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for allowing me to come into your classroom. Shani, thank you so much for allowing me to come in, talk to you guys. I'm really, really excited about this little mini presentation that I have tonight. Shani and I had a wonderful opportunity to speak to an amazing employer here in Tulsa. And from my understanding, we do have students that are not in the Oklahoma area, and that's just fine. I'm just going to give several examples tonight from employers that are in the area, but I work with ECE students all over the country, and so do not fear, that is totally okay. But I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to try to share my screen so you can actually see a document that I have on my home computer that I have prepared for tonight's presentation, and I just want to touch on a couple of key things. So let me try this really quick. All right, there we go. Okay, so now you see my desktop. Let me make this a tiny bit smaller. Okay, so this is a quick document that I wanted to put together, so I want to talk to you guys about this. One, I want all of you to have my, I want to make sure that all of you have my email address. So please make sure that you have this written down a couple different places. Make sure that you know how to get a hold of me. Now you're more than welcome to call the school, ask for Stephanie Lawrence. They'll transfer you to my office, and you'll probably get my voicemail. You can definitely leave me a voicemail. Those voicemails are actually forwarded to my cell phone, so I always get them. You can definitely do that, but just because I'm hit or miss so much because my hours are kind of crazy, the easiest way to reach me is just through email. So shoot me a quick email. Even if you need to speak to me, shoot me an email and say, hey, Stephanie, can you give me a call quick? Probably 99% of the time I'll be able to call you right then unless I'm in a meeting or something. So make sure you have my email address. I'm here to assist you all with anything that you need help with. Many students are looking for employment while they're in school, and I just want you to know that I'm able to help you with that. I help students all the time with perfecting interviewing skills. If they know that's something that they struggle with, let's go ahead and start practicing that right now. So if you need help with your interviewing, if you need help building your resume right now, if you need help finding volunteering opportunities, I mean anything that you need to grow professionally, please don't be afraid to reach out to me. That's what I'm here for. I have worked with the Early Childhood Education Program for 3.5 years. I love this program. I love the students. And I actually just wrote a guest, or I had a guest blogger on the Career Services blog. I asked her to be the guest blogger, let's see here, goodness, like 2 weeks ago probably, and she was an early childhood education graduate, just a fantastic graduate. So please, if you have time, make sure that you have, awesome idea, Sarah. Make sure that you have checked out that blog, and I'm sure that I shared it on the on the Early Childhood Education Facebook page. So leading into my next little bullet here, make sure that all of you have connected on the Early Childhood Education Facebook page. It's very important to be a part of that Facebook page. I post job leads on there, not very often because your awesome instructor does it all the time, and it's just so awesome that your instructor is so involved in looking out for you all. So she posts job leads all the time. I will post job leads on there. There's just tons of opportunities right now, and that's what I want you guys to get excited about. Our report period from 2013 to 2014, I want you all to know that we had 100% placement. So what that means is we had 100% of students in the early childhood education program and in the associate program get hired in the field. And then I want you all to know that from the 2014 to 2015 report, it's actually 100% again. I'm really, really excited about this. I just can't put that in print because it's not published yet. It's actually going to be published this November, and then I can put it on print. But 2014 to 15 is 100% placement as well. We have employers calling us all the time for early childhood education students and graduates, and that's what I wanted for you all to see here. This is a short list, but this is a list of employers who have hired our graduates in probably mostly around in the Oklahoma area. So I just want you guys to be aware of tons of employers are very familiar with our ECE program, and they call us and they ask for our students. It's just so, so awesome. I wanted to also touch base really quick here. If you are looking for job leads, make sure, one, that I know you're looking, but two, if you look on Indeed, I just typed in early childhood education, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I think 68 job leads popped up. So that is a ton of job opportunities. And then whole another site to look for job leads is Tulsa World. You just click on their jobs button, go to the education section, tons of early childhood education positions on there as well. So lots and lots and lots of opportunities for you. I want you guys to be excited. I want you to be thinking about where do you want to complete your externship. Your externship is in your hands, so you get to choose where you get to go or where you want to go. I make all the phone calls and I do all the paperwork and that stuff for you, but you guys get to choose. So I'm not here going to assign you to places that you truly don't want to go. I want you to do a little bit of homework. I want you to know exactly what facility you want to be in. Actually, how it works is I'm going to have you research 5 different companies, and then I just work right down your list. I call your number 1, I call your number 2, and I find a facility that works for you. And so there are just so many opportunities for you guys. One thing that I did want to touch base on really quick is I think it's going to be really important for you to find a niche with what age group you want to work in, because Shani and I, we speak to employers and they talk to us a lot about, well, what is the student interested in? And at first I was like, well, I just want the student to kind of get a feel for all the different classrooms. But if that's something that you feel you have a niche for or a drive for, focusing on your classes, I want you guys to communicate that with me and with your instructor. That way we can put you in that little area so you can kind of develop a specialty. And so that way we can really focus that on your resume and make you stand out from other candidates. So I hope that you're following me with what I'm saying. Oh goodness, can everybody else hear me? Okay. Woo! I just about had a heart attack. Hopefully her volume's just down. Okay, I'm going to back up here just a minute. I hope that you are able to follow me. I hope that you develop a niche that through your coursework that you're able to find what your true desire is. What age group do you really want to work at? And maybe we can really build that up and highlight that in your resume, again, to make you stand out from everybody else. Because the way that I see it, all of our ECE students from our program and from many other programs, you're getting the same education. So what makes you stand out from everybody else? So those are the types of thoughts that we need to have, because that's what an employer is going to be looking for. And so I wanted to show you this awesome list of employers who've hired our graduates. And then also, please take note. This is very, very important. Please take note. Get out your calendar, get out your class schedule, and find anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks before your last class. So find that last class, count up 6 to 8 weeks, and circle that date, and make sure you contact me 6 to 8 weeks before your last class to start discussing your externship. This is the best part of your education. It's super, super fun. You get to put all of the things that you've learned into actually working. I just have so many success stories that I wish I could share with you, from students that have started their externship, just fallen in love with the company they work for and have been hired at that company. I mean, the externship is just so much fun, and so I'm just really, really excited. What do we do during an externship? So Sarah, basically what an externship is, it's a continuation of the classroom. So you have to complete an externship before you graduate. In order to graduate, you have to complete the externship. And it's basically an internship. You're going to be treated exactly like an employee. And so you're going to probably assist with curriculum or assist with building classroom assignments. You're going to assist, with everything that you can think of in a classroom, what you learn in the class, that's what you're going to put into action on your externship. And so make sure you contact me 6 to 8 weeks before your last class, and then we're going to have a couple assignments that we're going to do together. And one of those, like I mentioned before, you're going to research 5 different companies that you want to work for, and then I will contact them to start talking to them about you completing your externship there. So it's a lot of fun. It's a continuation of the classroom. You get to put in hand, and it's a huge way to build your resume. So let's say you finish your externship and there's not a job opportunity there. They just don't have it in their budget to hire you or whatever. It's a great way to really beef up your resume, and I'll help you with that. I'll help you build up that resume, and then I'll help you with your job search. So it's a very smooth transition. I've done this so many times, and I love what I do. So that's all I really have for tonight. I just wanted to touch on a couple key things for you guys. What I wanted to do the most is just get you excited. I mean, you guys are in an amazing industry, I guess. You guys are in an amazing industry, and you guys are changing lives. I mean, that's the most amazing thing, is you guys are changing these little humans' lives by being their teachers, and so it's just really an incredible opportunity. And just contact me if you have any questions or concerns. I look forward to working with all of you with your externship and with anything else that you need help with. So just let me know what I can do, and we'll go from there. So let me get this switched back over to the desktop. So hang on here 1 second. Let me know if you have any more questions. I'm here for you. So hang on here. Bear with me.
Okay, can you guys hear me now? You do hear Autumn. That's wonderful. Good. Hey, Stephanie, you need to meet somebody before you leave, okay? So I don't want you leaving just yet. Just give me a couple minutes, okay? During our last class that we had in week 3, we kind of adopted this little chicken, and she was just a baby 1 month ago, and I told my class every 3 weeks I would bring her in, and they even got to name her. So our official ECE chicken mascot is Autumn. So I wanted you guys to see how much she's grown in 4 weeks. She's making so much noise right now. Let me see if she'll go on camera right. Hasn't she gotten big? So this was that little chick Autumn. Can you see the little black ring she has around her beak? That just has shown up recently. I really didn't notice it. And she's still, of course, black and white, but she is much bigger. So there she is. So Autumn says hi to the class. She's been clawing me this whole time. So, oh, what's going on? Application sharing has stopped. So anyway, every time during week 3, we'll bring Autumn on so that you guys can see how much she's changed. But she's getting so beautiful, and I still think she might be a Wyandotte chicken because she has these beautiful black and white stripes, right? You do. So every 3 weeks you could come on, Stephanie, okay? Every time during week 3. Thank you so much, Stephanie. Thank you for all the information. You're awesome. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Stephanie comes on from time to time. She is our career services representative. She works with other programs as well, mainly the distance learning or online programs. But she does a wonderful job helping you guys get those jobs and helping you get into your externship. So you'll be working more and more with her. And let me see, Lita, can you hear us yet? Have you been able to get sound? I'm not sure why we're unable to get her through, but we will work on that and try to get you sound, Lita. All right, guys. So let me just go put Autumn down real quick because she is so tired of being held right now. Can you still hear her cheeping? She's not happy. There we go. My daughter's being my assistant tonight, so she's taking the chicken back to the little nighttime coop. She's still too small to be outside at night because it's so cold still, kind of chilly. She's still getting her feathers. So now you guys know, right? I hope all of you are doing great. Let me see if this will let me click through. Here we go. Our announcements. Can you believe we're in week 3? We're halfway through our course. When are you getting more? No more new chickens until maybe springtime. It's hard to take care of the babies in the winter because they're so fragile and you have to keep heat on them. So we are halfway through, and I have to tell you guys, I sent out an email today about your grades, and this is really huge to me because I have taught 10 years regular college, and then I switched over to CCC in June, so this is about my 5th or 6th CCC class, and I have never had this happen before in the 10, almost 11 years that I've been teaching college, that I have the whole class currently at an A, and I got some more grading done today, and I think it really says a lot about you as a group because you're getting the discussion boards done correctly, getting your initial post by Wednesday, you're getting things turned in on time, you're taking your quizzes, and then if you need to, you're retaking them to get a better grade, and it shows. So I want to tell you guys, good job. I will be even more happy if we can keep this up until the end of class. I've never had a class where everyone had an A. So that's your challenge. I'd love to have a whole class with A's. Also, I want to tell you, I checked our enrollment. When I first started with CCC in June, we had 19 people in our ECE program, and as of today, we have 32. So our program is growing. I think we're going to see new students come in each month, and that just adds to the wealth of information that we can learn from each other. So I'm so excited about that. Also, the Pinterest postings, you're doing fantastic. I've had 100% participation every week. I've also had everyone make a 100%. So that was great. Does the guest speaker have a Facebook page? Yes, she does. In fact, if you went to my Facebook page, Shady Snell Instructor, you could get her information. I believe it's just under Stephanie Lawrence. But did you notice her unique spelling? It's Stephanie with an F. So let me get my pointer out here. Right here, Stefaney, Lawrence. And then we also have our ECE page as well. And I think you can get a link to that from my page as well. So those are good ones to follow. They really are. We try to post lots of information on Facebook for you guys. Let me see, it's 8:54. We're really not going to have a lot of time to go over our content. What I'd like to do is hop really quick to our final project overview. We went over this last time. Oh, that's okay, Katrina. You know, it's kind of acting weird tonight to me. Things don't seem to be working right. Maybe we've got a little Blackboard Collaborate glitch going on. Because I had to sign out and then sign back in so that I could get my sound going. By the way, I don't have that all the way up. Let me turn it up a little bit more. There you go. Is that better, guys? Can you hear me? That should probably be a little bit louder. Okay, it kicked me out too, guys. So I'm back now. You can hear me? Okay, good, good. Just kind of as a pre-plan, if this continues to happen, what I'll do is I will post the PowerPoint to our course page so that you guys can still access all this information, because I don't want you to feel like you're missing out on something. I'll be sure to add that. So right here, right now, let's go ahead and go through our activity cards really quick. I believe we're still recording. I hope we are. I pulled up an activity card example. No, you don't need to write a report over it. As long as, because we've gotten through at least the first 30 minutes, and that's fine. But if for some reason we lose connection on Blackboard, I'll get you the PowerPoint so that you can have this information. Yeah. So no, I've got everybody here written down. On the activity card example, I thought I'd go ahead and put a whole activity card up because I kind of told you last time some of the things that should be on there, but there also needs to be an overview and an assessment. So if you'll take a moment to look at this one, let me get my pointer out again since it took it away. If you'll look right here, we've got the name of the activity, animal tag. We need to have the number of the card, and I just randomly chose number 5. You need to have, no, this is for the final project. This is for your final project for your 25 activity cards. Yeah. So we've also listed that it's an outdoor activity, and then it's for the primary age group. Okay, you were to have 4 objectives, and so what I did, and let me tell you guys, whenever you're doing this card, the first one is probably the hardest because you have to think through each thing and what really needs to be on there. So I will tell you that it gets easier each time. On animal tag, the objectives are teach safe tagging practices. We don't want them whacking each other on the head. Develop hand-eye coordination. Practice and learn animal sounds. Increase fine and gross motor skills. So you'll just have to think about the activity and think about some of the things that are going to be taught by it. What are the objectives? Okay, you also need to list your materials, and for this activity you just need a large outdoor play area, no other supplies. You also need to list about how long it will take to do the activity, the source, and I found this one on playworks.org, and this is really a great website. If you want to use this as a resource for your activity cards, you're welcome to. So playworks.org, there's many different ones listed. So the overview, the goal is to turn everyone into the same animal as your group. You group the children into 2 groups, assign each group to be an animal. Once the game begins, all children should be making animal noises and trying to safely tag each other with a butterfly touch to the shoulder. So they shouldn't be hitting each other or slapping each other. We want to teach that practice. Once a child is tagged, he or she becomes the animal of the person that tagged him or her, and the game continues until all children are the same animal. So you can probably picture this activity. It's very loud, it's very noisy, lots of running around, and they're getting out lots of energy and having a good time. So you're telling me basically how to do the activity and then giving me an assessment. Was it fun? Did they enjoy it? Would you do it again? Because like I said in the previous time, we want to give proven activities, ones that they have done and ones that you have used before in your classroom or with a group of children. So they might be outdoor, they might be indoor, they might be from a different age group as well. So be sure on our course page, this is listed. Oh, you could use your children, Sarah. You could use them as your test subjects, or use activities that you have done with them before or with another group of kids. So you don't have to do it, in a preschool or in a daycare. You could even do it with a church group if you go to church, or maybe, like I said, just use your children, or nieces or nephews. They'll have a good time. So on our course page in week 4, they're rough. In week 4, you've got this page that tells you exactly what to put on the cards. And remember, you need outdoor and indoor activities, and that they also need to be from the different age groups: infant and toddler, preschool, and primary. And you also need to represent creative movement, sensory play, drama, literature, art, and music. So you're going to have a nice wide variety there. There you go. So I wanted to go over that again, and of course we'll go over it again next week as well, because I want you guys to do a good job on this activity. Okay, next, I'm just going to go over this really quick. Chapter 10. Last week we talked more about the idea of art and learning how to draw in the different stages that children go to and how to encourage creativity in children. So this week we're looking at physical development, because this is part of the course as well, moving creatively. Oh, that's great. Good idea. Yeah, that's a good idea. And, Pinterest is such an amazing resource. It really is. That's great. So we're looking at, when we talk about physical development, I don't want you to just think about sports or just think about playground stuff. I want you to think about what's really going on as they play physically. We're talking about gross motor development using those larger muscles in the arms and the legs and the torso. We're talking about fine motor development in the fingers, such as drawing and painting, and also sensory perceptual development, or just learning more about your environment through what you can see and what you can navigate through. So it's really all of those aspects, and not just running. Actually, I'm going to skip over this one real quick. I thought I had taken that one out. Let's talk about body control real quick and how children develop body control. You probably noticed with an infant, if we start at the middle of this target, infants on chest with head up, that would be on their belly with head up, by about 2 months of age. So that's really developing a lot of muscles to be able to do that. Before about 2 months, infants spend a lot of time on their back, and their arm and leg movements actually startle them quite a bit. Their nerves are still developing, and sometimes that arm and leg kicking or moving around, they don't even realize is their own. So think about this as you see an infant move. I think it's really amazing to watch. They should be sitting up with support, supporting themselves by about 6 to 8 months. Standing while holding on to something about 8 to 10 months. And with any physical development, remember always that this is going to vary child to child. 8 to 10 months is really a small range. You may have a child that's not really standing that well until 12 months. And you may have a child that's not walking until 15, but this is normal as well. Creeping and crawling in about 8 to 10 months. And my daughter crawled backwards first. I don't know, they all have their own unique way of developing. Walking when led around 11 to 12 months, and standing and walking alone around 12 to 15. Of course, again, you're going to have kids that may be walking by 9 months of age. I've heard of this quite a bit. So this is slowly how body control develops, and it generally develops from the center, the torso, and moves out, ending in the fingertips. Your oldest took off at 9 months. Isn't that hard too, because you have to chase them already? You want them to still, you know, stop developing so fast. Okay, 6 elements of body control. When we think about our larger muscles, we think about children walking, running, jumping, hopping, throwing, and balancing. These are the 6 basic elements. And I'd like for you to think about these things. First of all, wouldn't it be great if every day a teacher went through and went, okay, how are we going to practice each of these elements of control? To be able to include walking, running, jumping, hopping, throwing, and balancing in every day would be wonderful. So I want you guys to give me some examples. Let's say a child is still working on walking. Maybe they're, maybe we have a 1.5 or 2-year-old that's still a little wobbly. What could we do to help them with this walking skill? Oh, do tape lines on the floor. Exactly. Exactly. Tape lines are wonderful. They are inexpensive. And another thing that you can do is change them each week. Maybe you have diagonal lines one week, or you start with just a straight one and go to more of a zigzag. So tape lines are wonderful, especially that blue painter's tape. We use a lot of that. What about running? What could you do to encourage learning how to run? What's a game you could play or an activity you could do? What do you think, guys? What's something that encourages running? Run in place, yes, or back and forth. Basketball drills. I think about, did you guys ever do a basketball drill called suicide? And we never really wanted to do them, hated them, yes. But they really do teach good skills. Now, for younger kids, maybe they won't be able to do suicide, but they could definitely run, maybe to half court and then come back. You know, so that's a great place to start. Soccer is a great way to teach running as well. Yeah. Okay, then jumping. Of course, the first thing you think of is a jump rope or jumping in place. You have to be careful as far as their skills go, but they could be, say, jumping off a low step onto the ground, because we do have to develop this. Hopping is kind of along the same lines. Have you ever seen young children learning how to hop? It's a pretty big skill. Oh, is this one of your pages? And it's in Spanish too. Maria, is this one? Who put this one up? Sarah? It's sort of randomly hopping around. So over here it's showing hopscotch. And hopscotch could teach a lot of different skills. That's great. And then they've got one inside that they've made with the painter's tape. Love that. And then, of course, using the chalk, too. That's great. Let me see if it'll let me get back to you. Oh, the list. Oh, well, that's okay. Oh, she has to take it off the screen. Okay. There you go. Wonderful. Wonderful. So, yes, hopping, the hopscotch, right? Also, throwing. Now, here's the idea. When you think of throwing, you sometimes think of baseballs or softballs or basketballs. All these different hard things could actually cause some issues. But you could also throw using wadded up paper and throwing that wadded up paper into the trash can like a basket. So it's soft, it's not going to break anything, and you're giving them the permission to throw a piece of paper, and they love that. So, and then balancing is our last one. So balancing can just be, oh great, I'm glad you could come, Lita. Were you able to hear me finally? If not, we'll work on it. We will. Lita should be in our classes pretty soon. In fact, possibly starting next month. No. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I wish I could spell. Swark is my new word. Okay, next. Let's hop on over here. Manual control. If we think about the infant's body again, we get into voluntary hand and arm movements around 1 to 3 months. And voluntary meaning they're doing it on purpose. There's lots of involuntary movements that an infant will do very early on. They should be able to reach for and grasp a nearby object at 3 to 4 months. And this is something that you need to keep in mind if you're working in an infant classroom, that this could be something that they could do at this age. Therefore, you could use toys to do that with. You could use your hands, talking to the infant, or even mobiles. So you have to think of different ideas to help develop them physically. The pincher grasp is this one, where they can actually bring their fingers together. That happens at around 9 months. So think about the different toys that they could use to pick up. Maybe the big Duplo blocks, maybe wooden blocks. So we want to work on that skill. Something I think of when I think about the pincher grasp is many years ago I worked with a group of senior citizens teaching them to use computers. And we started from scratch. We started from the parts of the computer, and this is what a mouse looks like. And something that I hadn't considered is that they have to develop the skill of double clicking and single clicking. Now, of course, a single click isn't too hard, but they have to do it while moving the mouse around, and they just haven't been raised doing that, whereas a lot of our children have used a mouse from the time they were very young, or maybe some of you have. But with senior citizens that are new to the computer, this is a skill. And there was a website called Mousercise, where there were different activities that you did with a computer mouse, from a single click to a double click, and also teaching how to click and drag. So some of the things that we don't think about being a skill really are. And for our young babies, they are as well. So pincher grasp. Taking off on clothing, placing objects inside each other, moving spoon to mouth, and scribbling by about 12 months. Okay, next. You guys tell me, we just have a couple more slides because I know we're running a little late. What is the role of structured physical fitness in early childhood education? Think about a preschool program. What do you think some of the roles of structured physical fitness would be? Give me some ideas. What do you want them to learn from structured physical fitness? Now, we're not just talking about playground activities or recess time. We're talking about where the teacher is actually teaching activity. What can they learn from that? Yes, learning to exercise. And of course we can, that's okay, I can't either, Sarah, when I typed in SWORK earlier. They learn about exercise You also, of course, will talk about the idea of exercise helping you stay healthy while you teach them how to exercise. What else? What else can they learn from structured physical fitness? What do you think? Benita, Jasmine, Stephanie? How to stay healthy? Definitely. How to stay healthy, because we want to start them young down the healthy path, teaching them to stay active. Another thing that they might learn are how to follow the rules, because with many of our activities, there'll be certain rules that they'll need to follow. They'll also need to learn about taking turns. If it's a group activity, maybe they have to get in a line and wait for the next person to go. And then, of course, all of our little building muscles, building gross motor skills, and building fine motor skills. So there's lots of things that they can learn. Also, you can throw a little science in there as well. So what do you think the difference is between physical fitness and free play? Free play being like recess and after lunch. What's the difference between those two? There you go. You're waking up, guys. I see you. Lots of structure, yes, and then less structure. Exactly, Katrina. So physical fitness as a class is of course wonderful. It shouldn't be too long because it is a lot more structured and they do have to follow rules. But it's also important. You have certain things you have to do, and free play can be more random, exactly. Free play just for fun, yes, too. While physical fitness has a goal in mind, yeah, that's really good. In fact, that makes me think of in grade school, I'm wanting to say it was first or second grade, one of their goals was to be able to do so many push-ups and so many setups. So there was definitely a goal there. It's fun for them without restricted rules in free time. Yes, yes. So it's important that we have a balance between the two. In fact, I read an article just this week about a daycare. I'm wanting to say it was Iceland. It was like daycare preschool in Iceland and what they do. And basically, what they do is they have free play all morning until lunchtime. They have lunch, and then they have free time through the whole afternoon. They get to choose their activities. The adults are really just there to help out and make sure everyone stays safe, but they really don't have structured classroom time, and I thought that was really interesting. So the children are exhausted by the end of the day, but they've also been allowed to have lots of freedom and sort of develop on their own. So I could see where there would be a lot of beauty in that. Yeah. And I'd love to visit Iceland as well. So to support physical activity, we need to have outdoor play. Blocks are fabulous. Manipulatives are wonderful for fine motor skills. And also water and fan play is actually mandatory with a lot of the licensing agencies. Oh, I did, Sarah, the stand-up desk. I absolutely love that. Did any of you guys happen to see the Facebook post and the news coverage on the stand-up desk? I've seen it here and there on a lot of different websites. You think it's too much? I would see where they might have some time where they actually do need to sit down. I think it'd be nice to have both. I've seen some classrooms where it's an option that you could stand at the stand-up desk or sit down, so it was sort of up to you. But From being in public school, I see that starting from very early on, that they're required to sit a lot of the day. And so I can definitely see the advantage. Yeah, so he would need some time off. Yeah, I agree. They do. They get bored by sitting. And, you know, I notice it myself when I go to the office and that I'm having to sit through most of the day. So I've actually thought of the idea of trying to make my own little desk at home where I could stand up with my computer while I work. I know I burn some more calories that way. And I also have a niece where they work, they have a treadmill desk where you stand up with your computer and you walk. It's at a really slow pace, but she said that she really likes it. So yes, some children need that activity. They do. That's right. So some of them might get bored by standing as well. You're right. So I think we're, again, back to that point where you just have to have some type of balance and know that every child's going to be different. The classroom that I saw that had the standing desk and the sitting desk, they had the sitting desk at the front of the classroom and the standing in the back so that they wouldn't block the front. But they did allow the students to choose where they wanted to be. So, kind of neat. Do you think it would have helped you in school? I think there were times for me as well because I had the habit of fidgeting and shaking my leg and kind of squirming around at my desk. So, yeah, I think I could have benefited from, well, could be dangerous if perhaps they fell asleep. So, yes, that's true. And I've actually, you know, that can happen when kids get too tired, especially when I think about very young kids too. So preschoolers at a stand-up desk all day, probably not. You know, but when you get into maybe mid-grade school on up into junior high and high school where they can, you know, really choose, like, it could be a great thing. So they didn't care about me anyway. I didn't have the last name, so I understand, Sarah. But it's kind of that way at every school as well. Yeah. Didn't have the right last name. I know. I wish that would go away. There's got to be some way to get that out of our school system, especially the smaller schools. How would you support physical development when working with infants and toddlers? Oh, that's awesome. Your kids go to grade school. Good. Think about what we just talked about as far as how infants and toddlers develop. Let's say you're in an infant classroom. Let's pretend like you're in an infant classroom specifically. Move their legs like a bicycle. Yes. Yes, that's definitely something to do to help develop those muscles and move those joints. Also, we talked about belly time. Yes, and children with disabilities need their physical activity as well. That's right. Especially those that are maybe in a wheelchair, they tend to sit all day. So yes, we need to have time for physical activity. Lay them on the mat to help with grabbing items and pulling. Yes, a good idea, Benita, maybe pulling up or grabbing toys that are close to them to help develop those larger muscles in the arms, and also the pinch or grasp as well. So there's things that you can do, and I hope when you build your activity cards you'll be thinking about these too. How could you support physical development when working with children with disabilities? Specifically, we've already said doing the bicycle move. Here's a great one at a school close to us, a little girl that has cerebral palsy. They bought her a special bike. It looks like a great big tricycle. And where she sits, she actually has, she's belted in. It's almost like a 4-point harness to keep her on the seat. And the arms and legs move at the same time. So depending on what muscle she's using, the opposite side will be moving. So I was able to see a video of her using this little bike going down the hallway at her school, and she had such a big smile on her face. I think bicycling is something that we don't always think about in a school setting, but in Arkansas, I know there's a school that received a huge grant to get mountain bikes for their junior high kids, and they have a trail nearby. So there are things that we can do there. Also, physical development for kids with disabilities. They have bikes without pedals. It's called a balance bike. And all they do is hang on to it and then walk with their feet. So if they're able to walk and hang on, they're able to ride a bike, basically. So you can work lots of your core that way. And of course, in our other class, we've seen the playground for children with disabilities so that they have a chance at doing some of these things. Lastly, in early childhood education, we want to lay the foundation for good health habits with our physical exercise, but also with teaching them about nutrition all the time. We don't want to just pick it up and put it down. We want to keep this in our curriculum, teaching about health, teaching about safety, and also about self-care, because so many of these children, this is the only place we're going to get this type of education. So we want to pass this wealth of information on to them. Okay? We need to go ahead and stop because it's 9:30. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed the lecture tonight. I hope you liked having Stephanie on, Stephanie Lawrence. If you type in Stephanie Lawrence into your email, if you're on Gmail, her name should come up. Her name is also on several of the emails that have been forwarded to you from CCC because she likes to stay in touch with our graduates. And then, of course, look for her on Facebook. So she's a good person to know. And let me see. Start working on your final project. Keep up the good work. I'm really serious about those straight A's. I'm so psyched about that. I'm so excited that you guys have put in all that hard work. So good job. Are there any other questions? That's it, Stephanie. Jasmine, it is. It's getting late. It's dark. It's time for bed. I completely agree. It's even later for Sarah. 10:30, exactly. I thought that was right. I thought you were an hour ahead of us. So great. If you guys don't have any questions, get on out of here. Get on with your life. Please email me, call me, text me, whatever you need to do. If you have a question, I'd be glad to help you out. And keep up the good work, okay? Have a great night. Fall asleep by 1 or 2 and back up by 7:30. Oh my goodness, Sarah. Bye, Stephanie. Good night. That's not much sleep. Hang in there, right?